Amazon has my sympathy. You have people like me making a video about you. You have the SJWs circling. You announced this show 3 years ago and you haven't even finished a test pilot. Now you're so desperate you might bring in Bad Robot to help finish it. Don't. But if you do, instead of that word egalitarian, you can expect intersectional feminism, and instead of fidelity to Tolkien, you'll get current year politics mixed in with a few lies to the fandom, and it will be a divided fan base. And if you go Game of Thrones, everybody will be pissed off. But why should you care? You're a $1 trillion company.
Flexing is gay. Flexing is really gay. But I will point out, and most of you who watched my videos early on, I predicted the mess that the Rings of Power would be. Not because I'm some genius, not because I'm Nerdstradamus. It's just because I know the source material and I saw the patterns in other stuff in Doctor Who and everything. Oh, they're going to do the same thing here. They're going to make Galadriel a warrior and put her in armor, and boom. It's that predictable. And I'm not the only one, by the way, who predicted this stuff. It was pretty easy to predict if you were covering pop culture at that time. So it's weaved its way into the scripts. It's weaved its way into all of our social media. It's weaved its way into our school, into every facet, every institution, every fucking major corporation. Am I Racist exposes this. It exposes something we've been talking about for years, but it gets it to more people, and I'm absolutely happy it does that. So yes, every Star Trek Discovery episode and every red carpet interview where they're out there really pushing the narrative that racism is worse than race relations are worse than they are in the 60s, and racism still exists, when basically there's more of a market for anti-racism than there is of actual racism. But the thing is, Matt Walsh exposes the actual racism that still totally exists in this country. See, because racism's indiscriminate. It's indiscriminate. It's very inclusive. Racism has become very diverse and inclusive. No surprise, the country is divided because that's what they wanted to do. They talk about othering. They have been othering conservatives, libertarians, Christians for a long time. And now they got to a point where they didn't just come out and say it, but back around 2016, they started to come out and say it. There's a point in Am I Racist, to get a little ahead, where they're talking to Race to Dinner. And the woman says, I'm an anti-racist. We need to abolish whiteness. That's a quote. We need to abolish whiteness. And she's one of two people who say that in the movie. Openly, unapologetically. And there's so much fucking hate. And these people look about as fun as a colonoscopy. It's something Jar Jar Abrams said back in 2020 while cities were burning. Enough white comfort. Their whole thing was to disrupt, and it's not just white, by the way, it's middle class. They say white, middle class. They want to disrupt the comfort of the middle class, of the working man. They want them to be on their bat foot all the time. They want them to be defending themselves. I'm not a racist. What are you talking about? I have black friends and blah, 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 blah. And that's the whole point. Never let your opponent stand on solid ground, and always accuse them of what you're doing. It's pretty easy. So what happens is this strategy works for a little while because the working man and woman out there are working. They don't have time to pay attention to every second of media. They're raising their kids, taking little Dakota and Bobby to fucking soccer practice or whatever. Yes, it's called soccer, by the way. Yeah, they're busy like keeping this country going. They're being the people who actually make this country work. So they don't have time for that stuff. But thanks to the internet, there's a few people who've had time to look at that stuff and just make observations and go, wow, that's weird. Now, I'll speak for myself, any of my observations, I'm like, I'm not 100% sure any of these are right. But I'm pretty sure I'm seeing a pattern, and I'm seeing this pattern repeat over and over again. And that pattern, I've said, like woke storytelling is a bit like a really nasty, disgusting version of Mexican food, which is the food of the gods. I forgot the comedian, but the comedian out there said Mexican food is basically 5 variations of 5 different ingredients. That's it. A taco is a taco shell, meat, cheese, lettuce, tomato, salsa, rinse and repeat. That's what woke storytelling is, but really fucking bad. Just to be clear, Mexican food is my favorite food in the world. And it's just a variation of white man bad, white man incompetent. Well, it's not even white men now. I have to refresh that now. It's men bad, men incompetent, men duplicitous, woman always oppressed, woman had power all along, rinse and repeat. You can mix in other like cilantro, like colonization, oppression. For example, this is where woke collides. I'll give you an example. Doctor Who. They redid Doctor Who's origin. The Doctor was originally William Hartnell, an old English white guy from 1960s. We knew he had a little bit about his family, but we never knew his origin. We just knew that one day he was a Time Lord and he decided to leave. He's like, I'm going to run away. Just going to go. So due to intersectionality, a academic term that's been completely made up, that's got its basis in Marxist, they're like, we're going to change his origin. So we're going to go back in time. And there's going to be a female scientist because we need women in STEM who went out and built a ship by herself and explored by herself and then randomly came across a portal where she found a little black girl abandoned baby. Now, this is all in the guise of progress. You wanted to change the Doctor to a little black female baby, but you had her abandoned by her family. Okay, that doesn't look good, but it gets worse. So the female, like this is a really powerful female scientist. This is going to get little girls into STEM. This Tecteun character who finds this little abandoned black girl. And then she kills her over and over again so she can steal her regeneration powers. So they flipped it. They're like, she's appropriating her culture, her power. So they can always say, well, that's why there's so many prequels. Star Trek Discovery, they gave Spock a black female stepsister because they wanted the black female to do it first. Witcher Blood Origin, they made the descendant of the Witchers a black female, so the black female can do it first. Like you see the repeated patterns, right? So they can usurp the classic character because Doctor Who specifically had a problem with all of those white guys from the mostly white country, and they felt like they needed to fix it. So that's just a long-winded example of how they've done this, but they've done this in comics. They've done it in sci-fi. They've done it in fantasy. It's like a repeated pattern over and over again. That's why you start, the one thing a lot of people noticed in comics was there was the SJW haircut. I mean, that's a meme. We didn't create it. They did, which is the black woman with the shaved side head with the Annabelle mohawk, basically. If you know what an Annabelle mohawk is, they used to be cool when Annabelle from Bow Wow Wow had it and she was hot. So all of that has permeated our culture in every facet of our lives. So we can't get away from it. It's on fucking apps. It's on commercials. It's on fucking every TV show you see. It's in fucking music. It's in everything. So it permeates our culture for years. You have people calling the right Nazis and racists. No qualifiers. No in my opinions. Just straight up calling. I've been called that today. I don't give a fuck. And that's the point. That's where it falls apart. People just go, fuck you. Eventually people go, get fucked. Sometimes it takes longer than others, but that's where we're at. But the labeling of one side of people and othering them and turning them inhuman causes people to react violently when they are gaslit by the media, especially not mentally healthy people. And let's face it, COVID broke a generation of kids, and it definitely broke a lot of people. I mean, are you really that surprised? I'm not. It's disappointing and it sucks, but I'm not surprised a bunch of boys want to be girls and a bunch of girls want to be boys after COVID. And when I say COVID, I mean the government reaction to COVID, not COVID itself. And I think that needs to be in the, I don't know what the term will be, lexicon, vernacular, whatever. That needs to be out there. It is the government response to COVID that was the problem. the government creation, sorry, and then response. Problem, reaction, solution. Right in front of our faces. And now, like, the media doesn't care. They know they're lying. They know they're disingenuous because they just finally got caught. They are not in a position to go against their masters because it's failing. Broadcast media is failing. News is failing. Late night talk shows are failing. I think Tonight Show's going to 4 nights a week. Can't wait till it's 1. Long overdue. But all this shit's failing. So they have to abide by their masters. They have to, because that's the only way they're getting any kind of money. And these entities are losing tons of fucking money right now. And good. So on an unscheduled golf game in Florida, Trump gets shot at. Now, people, one out there said no ears were injured. Carry on with your Sunday. And it's like, listen, I could speak for myself. If this happened to the other side, I wouldn't be praising it. No, this is all fucking bad. When Donald Trump was originally running, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was funny. I like Trump. I always thought he was funny. So I'm like, all right, I'm here for the chaos. Boy, did we get chaos, but not the kind I expected. And it really was over time. I'm like, man, these are all Hollywood and the press love this guy. All of a sudden they turned on him. Interesting. You know, and now as time has played out, George Bush, piece of shit, they like him now. And they're allying with piece of shit Dick Cheney. Like, it is so fucking obvious at this point. Like, I listen, hindsight is 20/20, but I've always been kind of anti-authority. All right, just my entire life for lots of reasons. So I don't trust any of these fuckers. But it is interesting that it is so blatantly obvious now at this point. This is before the 2 assassination attempts that that this threat to democracy, Donald Trump, is a threat to the corruption. He is a threat to the corruption. That's what he is. If there are 2 assassination attempts against the president and you fucking know, let's talk about my line. You fucking know there's a bunch of people in Hollywood going, damn, guy missed again. You know it. You fucking know it. That's where we are in this country, right? When you have bullshit indictments, when you have bullshit impeachments, they start using that as a tool. And what they don't realize or don't care, because it's the same way corporations are run, is the same. America is a corporation. It's just for the shareholders, or in the case of the government, the lobbyists and their corporate masters. And it's just about getting to the next election, without any fucks to give about legacy of Star Wars, legacy of corporation, Disney, legacy of our fucking country, future for our children. And none of that shit is considered. It's kick the can down the road. We don't fucking care. So what they don't realize is whatever they do will be done against them. You set the precedent. Whatever they do, you cheat an election, other side's going to cheat an election. You start weaponizing judges and juries, other side's going to start weaponizing judges and juries. And the corruption gets worse. And you know who gets fucked? We do. And we pay for all this shit. But then the corporate masters are happy because it keeps us fighting. And they get fucking fat.
Nerdrotic.com. Please subscribe.